Another one. Another one. Touchdown, Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another Jags podcast, episode 63. We're excited tonight to have our full crew with us, Jason, Joey, and myself. We're going to be getting to all of your Twitter questions. We're going to be talking about the mock drafts that are out there, all sorts of different hypothetical scenarios as we lead up to the draft, which is, believe it or not, just over 2 weeks away. So we have this episode, we have episode 64, which will be next week, and then the following episode, we will be doing our second annual podcast where we record as the draft is happening. Do want to remind everyone that we are on Twitter at Another Jags Pod. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Another Jags Podcast, as well as YouTube. Search Another Jags Podcast, and you'll find us there as well. So tonight, without any further ado, Jason, let's get right to the Twitter questions. What do we have going on tonight?
All right, we have some great Twitter questions, so appreciate all you guys that hit us up with them. And this first one's from Brent Papineau, and he's at Brent Papineau. And he says, which realistic draft pick at 7 would be the starter at his position? He says his choice would be TJ Hawkinson, and he doubts any other choice other than Bosa and Quentin Williams would start.
Would you assume that meant on the Jags or just starting it on any
Jags
team? Okay,
yeah.
Fair enough.
What do you think, Joe? I mean, he kind of talked about your guy.
I mean, I think that's the obvious choice. He absolutely would start in a second because he's such a huge upgrade over anybody that we have on the roster. I mean, I think Williams would start on the offensive line, very possibly. I mean, he'd at least be competing for a position. I mean, outside of that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's tough coming in as a college player and a rookie and do maybe a new scheme, new coaches, new city. I mean, that's a tough call unless you're just that elite stud athlete to pull off.
You don't think Jawaan Taylor starts?
I was about to say, who's the right tackle right now? Nobody? Josh Wells?
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna
you got to start someone there.
Yeah, I mean,
he's gonna fight for the position.
Any tackle you draft at 7 is going to be a starter for sure. Jawaan Taylor definitely is a starter, instant starter.
I mean, I understand where the question is coming from. In other words, if they draft defense, that person is not going to start hypothetically, which is probably true unless they just show out in camp in a huge way that no one expects, or there's an unexpected injury.
Who's starting on the D-line as of now? Campbell, Ngakoue, Darius. Who's their fourth?
Brian.
Taven Bryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
guess you're
better
right.
be, man. It's your boy.
I mean, is he starting, though? I mean, he's still young.
You're a first-round pick. You've had a whole year to prepare.
He's a project guy. He was kind of drafted to replace Campbell, so you figure if we get 1 more year out of Campbell, Taven's slated to start next year.
Dude, if he's not at least borderline starter this year, then that was a horrible pick.
I would rather have one of these top guys start than him, and I'd let him develop a little bit more. I mean, if you could get obviously Quentin Williams is a beast, but if you could get any of these other guys, like
What about Oliver? I was going to say
Ed Oliver would start over Taven Bryan.
So I guess the answer to that question is yes, there's a legitimate chance that somebody we would draft would be a starter.
I mean, the legitimate answer is anyone besides quarterback would start there. I mean, is there anyone else?
Listen, back in the day, the Seahawks paid a king's ransom for Matt Flynn, and they draft Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, and Wilson, starts from day one. Is it completely out of the realm of possibilities if the Jags do draft Haskins that the same thing doesn't happen?
I don't think that's fair. I mean, Flynn was a backup that came in a couple games and played well, whereas Foles is a Super Bowl MVP. So it's like, and I think Castle only had a 2-year deal. Foles is a 4-year deal. I mean, I know it's only 2 years technically, but it's easier to get out of a 2-year deal than it is a 4-year deal. And I think they go Jawaan Taylor with that pick. And we planned on talking about mock drafts today, and I looked at everyone's mock drafts, and it was hard for me to find someone that didn't have us taking Jawaan Taylor. ESPN, CBS, Sports Illustrated, The Athletic, everyone has us taking Jawaan Taylor. Everyone. And can't remember a year.
Not everyone, Jason.
There's one.
The mothership.
SB Nation had us taking TJ Hawkinson. Yeah. But everyone.
That is a fantastic reference.
Thank you.
But can you remember
a lot of respect for them.
The last time we were unanimously people thought we were going to draft one player.
Well, then that only makes me think that that's not who they're going to get.
Which is, I hope they don't take him, man.
Okay, Joey, I'm so ready for this.
Then bring it. Okay,
We've had our debates in the past about this, have we not?
we have. So
I think this might be the 4th straight week.
let's do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's my problem. Do you want to go first?
I just want to preface the whole thing with this. I've done my research.
Okay.
I'm ready for
Good.
tonight.
Hopefully you can prove me wrong.
I'm ready for tonight.
Because here's the issue that I have is it's another player from the recent Florida crew that they're saying didn't really show out in college a whole bunch because he wasn't coached properly beforehand. They didn't have the coaches under McElwain. Well, you know what? Great. Some of the players that have come out, yes, they've done great. Fair enough. I want a guy who showed out in college that you know is going to play well. Why take somebody that might be good above him? Williams is a better player, man. He's proven it. You can't knock that. Look at the tape. He has proven it in
I'm glad
college.
you said look at the
against
tape.
Top.
I'm glad you said look at the tape. Because
Let's go to the tape.
That's literally
Oh,
all
wow.
I-
Was that a segue?
That's literally all I did today. And you keep referring to the fact that Jawaan Taylor didn't show anything.
No,
And,
he did this year. 1 year. He didn't do anything
yeah,
before
he's a
that.
junior. He's only. I mean, what do you want him to do? He started. He was a
top 10
He was an
pick?
all freshman SEC. What do you mean he didn't show anything all year? Even if he didn't have the coaching, he was an all freshman offensive lineman. Dude, the guy is a beast, man. He showed out this year. I mean, he is the best tackle in the draft. I'm sorry, he is the best. He is so strong, and people like. Admittedly, I had kind of discounted him as this guy that was like raw talent that the coaches could make into someone good. But this guy is like a good offensive lineman.
Okay, he's so strong, yet he repped like what, one more on the bench press?
Dude,
than
if
Williams?
you watch him in games, dude, he knows how to combo block. He drives his feet every time someone engages with him. If he gets his hands on you, like there is no getting off. Like this guy is like grizzly bear style, gets his hands on you. He has the largest wingspan of any lineman coming out in like the last 5 years. He has a 7-foot wingspan. So it's not that you made the point last week that his arms are barely bigger than Jonah Williams. Like,
It's like
no,
2 inches.
No, his wingspan is like off the charts.
It's 2 1/8. That means
No.
Williams' arms aren't that short.
No, he's off the charts. The only knock on him is that sometimes he can play a little high, like doesn't get low, doesn't drive and bend his knees. But even the plays that he did that, he still held his block playing high, which just shows he's got raw power. And Jonah Williams, your boy Jonah Williams, got literally obliterated in the national championship game against Clellan Ferrell. Like embarrassed. Like if it wasn't for that game, he would have been the first offensive lineman taken. Like that game dropped him into the mid-teens alone. I mean, it was embarrassing.
And how many of those guys are going pro?
The guy that he got beat by, Clellan Ferrell, will probably be a late first-round pick.
Exactly. And the guy that is playing at Florida, he hasn't played anybody, man.
His best film was against LSU. They're riddled with defensive lineman talent. One linebacker who's projected to go above him.
One team.
That's his. What are you talking about? One team. He plays in the SEC. All those guys
Joey,
are big.
how much of if Jawaan Taylor played for any other team in the SEC, would you care as much, or is it just that he played at Florida and the track record for the Jaguars taking Florida players high in the first round is not good?
No, I mean, it's a combo, man. I mean, yes, absolutely, that has had an impact on it. But it's more so the fact that I watched a lot of Florida games this year, and he really didn't stand out to me.
To
And
be
that's a
fair,
problem.
neither did Taven Bryan, and he was the best player on the team.
And
last
he
year.
isn't even going to be a starter next year, according to you. He needs another year to mature. You don't take a guy in the first
He was
round.
still
that
the
does
best
that.
player on the team.
Okay, and
You didn't notice him.
I want a guy that's coming. I want a guy that's coming in that's going to be an impact player.
Jawaan Taylor
this year.
is head and shoulders better than Jonah Williams. Absolutely. I was a Jonah Williams fan until recently, but I am 100% sold. Watched the game film. Jawaan Taylor is 100% better than Jonah Williams.
Is that who you want the Jags
Yes.
to take over everybody? That's who you want.
Yep. And I don't care that he went to Florida at all. He is the best offensive lineman in this draft. People are saying the guy from Washington State, Dillard, is a good prospect as well and can be a good player. But Jawaan Taylor, like, it's not that he's big, it's that he knows what he's doing. Like, I watched combo blocks where he would block a guy into the middle, snap his head around, and see like a blitzing corner and get out there and block him. He has patience on a blitzer that's trying to put a move on him to like kind of not overkick his step and get too far outside and let the guy come inside him. Jonah Williams got destroyed on that move. Like, Jonah Williams looked so bad against Clemson that I do not want him anywhere near the Jaguars.
Let me ask you this, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. they take Jawaan Taylor with their first pick, 7th overall. Who do you then want them to get in the second round?
I would like to see someone to kind of. Oh, that's tough, man. My instinct wants to say tight end, but I also wouldn't mind seeing a wide receiver, but I also wouldn't mind seeing a linebacker. We have a lot of needs at that too. We're going to have to
That's an important pick.
Yeah.
That's a really important pick.
But I mean, we've done well in the later rounds. I'm not too concerned with that. I want a surefire guy in the first round, and like Jawaan Taylor is that. He is that. Like, even if you're like he's not worth a 7 and he's more worth like a 12 to 15, he is still the best offensive lineman in this draft, and that's where our biggest need is because we have no right tackle.
So can he play left tackle if needed?
He is
I know
probably
Williams,
a better right tackle. I wouldn't want him at left tackle
because he never played there. Williams has quite a bit of experience at left tackle.
The thing is,
why
so if he's so good at right tackle, why couldn't he be a left tackle?
Because it's different. You're kicking with your right foot instead of your left foot. You're leading with your right hand as your punch hand instead of your left hand. There's a lot of things that go into it. When you're scraping down line of scrimmage, you're using your right hand as your... I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. But the thing about the NFL nowadays is that most NFL teams have 2 good edge rushers. Like, the day of having only 1 good edge rusher is gone. Like, most teams, you have... If you play the Jags, you got Calais Campbell on one side, and you have Ngakoue on the other side. It's not necessarily like, let's draft just a left tackle anymore. You have to have your edges solidified.
You still want to protect the blind side more than anything.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't think you draft a player there to put him in a different position. Like, he's a right tackle in college. Like, draft him to play right tackle.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if the need arose, like last year, you have somebody that does have experience at a high level that could be moved over there to fill an injury. That's the whole point of that. But I mean, hey, I pissed Jason off enough with my comments the last couple weeks to actually come in and almost talk me into believing that Taylor would be a good pick. So
it's not about
I'm
your comments. It's about your ignorance.
Either way, the fans are appreciative because that was good info. You almost sold me on them.
Well, you should be sold because his literally what the offensive line coaches call it is like mental processing, like the ability to see one blitzer stunting or doing a certain move or drop into coverage. His mental processing is like off the charts.
Would you say Tony Baselli knows a little bit about the offensive line?
I respect Tony Baselli, but to be fair, he's been wrong about a lot of stuff recently. So
offensive line in particular.
He's been wrong about a lot of stuff recently.
I mean, he said that his take on him was that he's a very good player, but that he's soft. Not soft as in not strong, but soft in like.
Okay, so here's the thing. He doesn't have that I'm going to kill you even after the whistle that you want in an offensive lineman. But with Jonah Williams, he can't withstand a bull rush. So which one would you rather have? Would you rather have a guy who's pretty good everywhere and isn't going to kill you after the snap like Quentin Nelson is? Or do you want a guy who literally can't block a bull rush?
No, fair enough.
I mean, those are your 2 options.
No, you're right.
You know,
they said Taylor's punch is one of the strongest things. That it's unbelievable. Like, people talk about the fact that the first time that he did that at practice to him, it literally hurt. Like, they wanted to cry.
So the weakest part of Jawaan Taylor's game is that he false starts a lot. He gets real antsy pre-snap, and he showed that at Florida a lot.
He's the Dante Fowler of the offensive line. What are they teaching those guys in Gainesville?
Which doesn't matter in the pros because, fouls happen. Right.
But that's my, Jawaan Taylor's a lot better than Jonah Williams. That's the bottom line. And I was wrong on that until I watched the film. I leaned toward Jonah Williams, but after watching the film and the breakdowns of these guys, it's pretty obvious that Jawaan Taylor is a lot better than Jonah Williams.
Okay. I think that's enough Jawaan Taylor talk.
No, that was
Are you sure? I can keep going. I can keep going.
I think it's good.
It was literally great. I mean, I'm impressed.
You should be. Do we go another question?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I'm randomly choosing a question here. Okay, this is from
exciting.
This is from Jason, and he's at RatHCP. He says, your ideal time for the Jags to draft a running back. Your favorite running back in the draft. For him, it's the 2nd to 3rd round, and it's still one of our bigger needs to help out Fournette. His favorite is Miles Sanders, and he'd be happy if they took him in the 2nd round.
I think that's too high. I don't like a 2nd round pick on a running back. I would say no sooner than the 5th round. The Jags don't have a 4th round pick, right? I keep assuming they
2/3, I think.
2/3, but no 4th and then a 5th, if I'm correct. Let's assume that I am, and while we fact check that, then I would say if that's true, I don't want them taking a running back until the 5th round. And I'll follow up. You asked who. I have no clue because I don't know what running backs I don't know the names of running backs that are going to be taken in the 5th round. But you can find guys. And you know what? And I'll go back and say I think they have a pretty decent running back room right now with the addition of Alfred Blue. You got Rawls. Health is a concern of mine there. If he's healthy, I think that's a solid play. The guy from Chicago, was his name Williams? Was that his name? The scat back, the guy that's going to be the Grant replacement. Is it Williams?
Benning Cunningham.
Cunningham. I don't know why I said Williams.
AKA
Cunningham.
AKA some guy.
Some guy. Cunningham. No idea about him, but there's so many other needs. I think taking a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round is too high. Wait.
I agree 1,000%. If we take a running back anywhere before the 3rd round, even 4th round, we got too many other needs, and running back's one of those positions at this point that you can hit on in those later rounds. It happens all the time. We already got Fournette, our boy Blue. I don't see them drafting anybody early. And again, there's plenty of rankings where you can look at the guys later on. You got Florida Atlantic that's got a running back. Slippery
Devin
Rock.
Singletary, he's really good.
Yeah, he is, but
he's not going to be in this. He'll be gone before the 5th round.
It says 3rd to 4th round according to this one. So again, those are the guys that's above my pay grade. If they're going to have to take a flyer on somebody 4th round, I think, for that to be anything worthwhile.
A lot of people like Devin Singletary because he is kind of plays in that flashy Lane Kiffin offense down at FAU, and he was a good back though. But so we have a round 1 pick, round 2 pick, 2 round 3 picks, a round 4 pick, and then no round 5 pick.
Oh, so we have a round 4 and no round 5.
Yes,
and 2 threes.
That's better.
Yeah.
Maybe the second 3. I don't know.
No, I don't think. I think we go. The round 4, 6, or 7, I'd be cool with a running back.
Yeah.
If you could get Singletary in 4, you're making like a bandit. But they put a lot of money in free agency in a running back. Like
we mentioned him last week. I like Jordan Scarlett.
Yeah, I do too. That's a guy you're able to get in the 6th round.
I would not be mad about that at all.
Yeah.
And you think about it, we did address running back in free agency, like you said, and they've made some moves there to kind of get that depth there. They have not done anything at wide receiver depth-wise, and I think this might tie into some other questions, but the wide receiver core is probably still one of the worst in the league. I think they're going to be better next year, but would you want that 3-4 pick running back or wide receiver?
That's a good point. You would think if they had any concerns at wide receiver, they'd stack up on them the way they did at running back. So maybe they draft a couple wide receivers in the draft.
I think that's way more possible.
I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
All right. Well, this next question about the draft is from Darren Frazier, and he's at TD Fraser, and he says, what do you think about the safety position for the Jags? Do you think they have their starters already? And if not, where do you see them addressing this? I think this is a pick that you'll see in probably the 3rd round of one of the picks. Safety is a pretty important position. I don't think they're all in on
Jared Wilson?
Jared Wilson, yeah. I really don't. We've all seen him play, and he's not a guy that's going to blow you away. I think they might have their guy. They might have their eye on a guy like Taylor Rapp from Washington, Nasir Adderley from Delaware, small school guy who is going to impress people, I think. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson from Florida. That's a guy that could come in and compete with Jared Wilson for that spot. He's a good back. And who knows if, Jawaan Taylor falls from Virginia. You got to think Deontay Thompson's not going to be there. He's probably the highest projected safety. But, I don't know. I think 3rd round, they'll draft one. They've shown us they like drafting safeties in the 3rd round. They can get value there.
They do. I don't know. I think they do like Wilson because otherwise you had the guy there in Gibson and they let him go. He wasn't.
He's too expensive, though.
It wasn't that expensive. Was it $6 million?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's not like breaking the bank, like putting them in a position that they can't afford things.
It's half of their available cap now.
They have. I thought it was 18. I thought they had $18 million.
To a 3rd.
Okay.
So one player is a 3rd.
Which they're not using right now unless that's going to be used to extend someone's contract. But I don't know. I think they like Wilson. I'm not saying they're not going to draft somebody, but I could see maybe the 2nd, 3rd round pick, not the first one. It all depends on who's on the board.
Yeah.
We've talked about the strategy of the front office, and I believe they, we've said it before, they've graded all these players, and they're going to go with who's the highest graded is. And because again, like we have also said, there's a lot of needs. So the chances are, if they have someone graded highly, there's going to be a place to put them on the team. Whether they start or not, I mean, the third rounders, they can start. It'd be awesome if they, were that good where they started, but I don't think a third rounder has to start. So it could be someone that just adds depth to a position.
Man, it's tough to start Jared Wilson, though. That would be a huge weak spot in the defense.
Well, I think part of that, too, is they're relying on fast linebackers to help with the tight ends. They're relying on 2 incredible corners, and Harrison having a monster year this year. So, someone's got to be the weak link and all that, and I think Wilson is that.
That's the great point. I mean, I think that's why they let Gibson go. I still wish they would have kept him, actually. I mean, he was very healthy, very solid, very consistent, was a team guy, not a lot of problems. But, I mean, I think they think everything else around that position is above and beyond and rock solid. So I think that if there is going to be a weak spot, it's going to be at safety.
All right. Ready to move on?
I guess so. That's just, I was just going to say, that's a big question mark. I mean, because there's only so many draft picks you have, and with all these needs, where does that one rank, I guess, is another question. You have the tight end that has to be addressed. You have wide receiver that has to be addressed. You have also offensive line that has to be addressed. We've already talked about running back as a possibility. I mean,
middle linebacker,
right? So,
hey, we're rock solid at quarterback and kicker, though.
That's right.
All right. Well, this next question is from Brad Harvin, and he's at the rundown_BH. And he says, do you have a preference on the second to mid-round tier of tight ends? He says Kahale Waring, Jay Sternberg, or Caleb Wilson. And we had another follower, Heather, at Hey It's Heather 17,
hey,
is an Aggie fan, and she loves Sternberg because he should have won the Mackey Award in her opinion, but she's biased because she's an Aggie fan.
Okay. I think the Jags are going to draft Jawaan Taylor, number 7 overall, first round pick. And I think they're going to trade back into the first round and get Fant.
I like that.
Maybe, I think he's going to drop some early 20s, give the team a second round pick and one of their thirds. And they're going to pick up Fant. And maybe
Fant's worth a second and third.
I think they may have to do that.
Just to preface this whole thing, is in SB Nation's mock draft, they have Fant going 10th.
That's high.
And there's another mock.
I'm assuming Hawkinson goes before him.
Right.
So there'll be 2 tight ends in the top 10.
Which hasn't happened in probably ever.
Ever? Yeah. No, I don't believe that's going to happen at all.
Me neither. Here's the problem with Sternberg, Jay Sternberg from Texas A&M. It's that he's not very strong, and he's not very big, and he doesn't really have the size and strength that's going to help him block on the next level. He gets NFL comparisons to Jacob Tamme, who is a guy who probably plays 10 snaps a game and comes in relief at tight end, and he probably will be that guy. So
he's actually ranked the 6th tight end out of the tight ends available, like a 3rd or 5th round pick. So
he's a good route runner, and he has good hands, and he does well against man coverage, but he's undersized, can't run block, and he takes bad angles to blocks, apparently, according to NFL.
And he's a little slow.
According to the NFL Draft Combine. Because, I haven't watched any film on Sternberg.
I don't know who he is. That's why I went with my Fant thing, so I could have some sort of contribution there. Well, no, I do. I think that would be amazing if the Jags did that. But
I mean, again, those 2 guys, Hawkinson and Fant, are number 1 and number 2 in most rankings as far as tight ends go. Crazy they're the same school, but I mean,
I actually think, I think they brought him in for a workout. And again, that doesn't mean a ton, but I think Irv Smith Jr. out of Alabama is a guy to watch out for the Jags in the second round. I think if Fant does go in the first round, that could be the pick in the second round for the Jags, and I'd be okay with that.
It's a good call.
He's very shifty.
He's Alabama. Joey, you like that?
I do. But again, he's like the 3rd ranked tight end. So, I mean, to get him in the second round, maybe.
Listen, there was one tight end last year taken in the first round, and then, again, the second tight end taken, Dallas Goedert, didn't go till the mid-second round last year.
I get that, but our pass-catching need is so high.
And I'm just saying, everyone thinks there's all these tight ends are going to be taken so early. I just don't see that happening. I really don't. So I think Smith would be a great pick. in the second round.
I'd be very happy with that.
Who do you want, Joey, for the Jags to take first? Do you still want Hawkinson? Are you on that? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I want them to take a position of need.
No. Who do you want? Like a name.
I have not wavered.
Okay.
Have I once?
No, but you're saying yes, and then you say I want them to take a position.
No, because everybody's saying that they're not going to, and I'm not a football genius, and literally every draft out there, mock draft is saying we're taking somebody else. People are talking about drafting the defensive position because it's such a heavy-weighted defensive draft. It's looking like we're not going to take a tight end or a receiver because receivers aren't heavy, running backs aren't heavy. We're not going to get any offensive threat in our first pick, maybe even our second. So I just don't want to get some bargain basement tight end that they're going to try to sell us on and us still not upgrade our offense whatsoever. I'll be very upset with that.
You don't think we'll upgrade the offense with a legitimate starting right tackle? Because that's we have no right tackle. Like at least we have a tight end on the roster. We look at potential starters at right tackle as Josh Wells and what's the guy from NC State, Richardson? I mean, who didn't play any at all, and his college film looked terrible, and I don't really know why he was drafted. But I mean, it's we have a glaring need there. At least at tight end, we have O'Shaughnessy. We could draft a guy late to play with O'Shaughnessy.
I would be good with a right tackle and then taking tight end second pick.
All right, that's good. I think we've reached some sort of consensus that we can all agree on.
Yeah. Okay, so this next question is from King, and he's at the Noah Bennett. And he wanted to compliment us on our show last week.
What did he say?
He said it was his favorite one ever.
Oh, mine too.
So out of 62 episodes.
Number 62. We said it would take a 62.
We did.
We nailed it.
We talked about it at the beginning. We were like, I think when we hit 62, we'll hit our stride.
We'll be hitting our stride.
Yeah, exactly.
But he wants to know, there was talk on the pod about the absence of Puzlesny at the linebacker group.
I wonder who brought that up.
Love Puz.
He says, would it be too late to bring Paz back as a linebacker coach?
I don't think it'd be too late to bring him back as a player. You know the guy's in the gym right now. Player coach, man. Bring him on. $1 million. Bargain.
He's definitely in shape. I would bet the house on that. He probably doesn't want to play anymore. As a coach, I guess really just depends on if he wants to do it. You know, and it would be someone that could hold Telvin in check, I think, a little bit, but you know, I don't know. You haven't heard much about Paz lately and what he wants to do. Even when he was going into retirement, he didn't quite have an idea.
He said that he wanted to spend more time with his family.
Yeah, which is exactly
I can't imagine a guy who wants to spend more time with his family deciding to coach for the NFL.
Hey, I'm gonna come back for less money.
I love the idea. I love Paz, but I mean, the guy he probably will be a coach one day, but not for a while. That's my guess.
The Jags are all about like that special consultant position. Maybe he could be the middle linebacker consultant.
That's true. So it's halftime national championship game. The score's 32, Virginia 29, Texas Tech.
Ooh,
Thoughts on the game so far?
That over is looking pretty dang good right now.
The Braves are up 6-0, so that's all I care about. It's kind of been what everyone expected.
You mean the worst national championship game in a while?
Pretty boring.
Yeah.
All right, so I'd like to just take a second here. We love our fans, and I really dropped the ball last week. You guys have been like on me all week, especially the day after. We appreciate the questions. I did miss 2 on Facebook last week.
Joey has one job.
I have one job,
Facebook.
And I did. Well, hold on a second. I'll go on a rant first then, because
my favorite moment of last week was you not knowing that Randy Moss beat Fred Taylor for Rookie of the Year.
Whatever, man.
I basked in that moment multiple times.
I like Jason's just adding something to it that's completely outside of what I'm actually talking about.
You talked about dropping the ball last week. I would say it's a drop the ball.
I'm sorry. All right. I was thinking our fans.
Your favorite player of all time. You can't remember who he got shafted by.
Because I was too busy watching him. Anyway, Cody Kennedy, Zach Jones, really appreciate the questions. We have kind of addressed them. Again, Zuckerberg, though, come on. Facebook at this point, it's an absolute mess. Especially if you have a business site, it's like almost impossible to see those.
I am so lost. Are you going to read?
What are you talking about?
Are you going to read the questions they asked?
I'm not going to. So Cody's question was.
This is why Joey never intros the questions. All right,
you're like speaking code over there. Zuckerberg, what?
Who's Zuckerberg? Some
Hey, Junior, let's go. Get to the point.
Zuckerberg, some third round prospect out of Tulane. All right, just read the question.
Cody Kennedy and Zach Jones, we really appreciate the Facebook questions. Make sure I pay more attention to that so we can address those in a timely manner. But Cody did chime in and said that in a hypothetical situation, this season Foles is a total flop, and Lenny, I like that, gets injured. What's the game plan to ride out next season if that happens?
You mean, what does next season look like
If Foles gets
if
injured.
Foles gets injured this year?
Yes.
I mean, they're going to be terrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So start scouting quarterbacks for the next draft.
I mean, that really could be our Achilles heel next season, is the lack of depth there, which, I mean, we can't fix, obviously, with anything substantial. So
Unless they draft Haskins at 7.
Or Greer in the second round or something like
that's
that.
possible. So, I mean, that's definitely a concern. And
I think we're definitely in tank for Tua mode, though, if that happens.
Yeah. All right, good question. So, Zach Jones, how severely underrated, if at all, are the Jaguars' wide receiving catching corps? Who makes the biggest jump next year?
Ooh, underrated?
If at all, which...
No, not at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think no one really talks about D.D. Westbrook, but I think if he started going off, people would just recognize the name from him being so good in college and would kind of understand that he's kind of made a progression. So outside of D.D. Westbrook, I mean, there's nobody.
I mean, I think Foles makes all of them better, but agreed. I mean, if you can't break out on our core, you got some issues being a player. I mean, Didi was the only one that showed life at the end of the season, and I do think to answer that question, he definitely is the one that's going to make the biggest jump. But
I could see Conley making a big jump.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a big dude, fast. He was, third on the depth chart in Kansas City, or was it Kansas City?
Yeah, it was
Kansas City, but behind two legitimate wide receivers.
Yeah,
that's true. There's only so many looks in offense.
Is as good as a wide receiver.
You could very well argue that on our team, he's the best wide receiver. Playing behind Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, he doesn't have that in Jacksonville. So I think he can make a jump.
Well, maybe
awesome
we're not
if
as
he
bad
did.
off as we think.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's going to be awesome, but I think he could
be underrated.
I think you said Pro Bowl, didn't you, James?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
The thing is, though, even if he's good, like you're looking at Keelan Cole.
Is Keelan Cole going to be on the team?
If he makes the team,
I think he is.
Really?
Yeah.
He should have been cut last year.
Even if
awful.
they draft a guy, you got to keep 5, right? So you got Marquise Lee, you got D.D. Westbrook, you got Conley, you got Keelan Cole. You draft a guy, you're still only at 5. I mean, unless they draft 2 guys.
We're not forgetting someone in there.
LSU
really
guy?
who we had?
Oh, yeah.
Chark. I know there's someone
Chark.
else.
So you got Chark.
So it could be Chark and Cole battling it out.
And you got to think Chark wins that.
You
I
have
hope
to.
so.
If nothing else, for special teams.
So I guess you could say if they draft somebody, that seals Keelan Cole's fate.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to kind of wait and see what Marquise Lee does with his injury, because there's no telling what his timetable is.
I would think if they draft somebody like anywhere relatively high, that tells us a lot about Lee's injury that we don't know.
That's true.
I mean, Mike Duraco wrote last week that he's ahead of schedule, Marquise Lee, in his rehab. So that's the first real written article or anything like that I've heard about Marquise Lee. So I was pleased. I thought, because there was no talk, that it was bad news. But it reports now, as of early April. Again, let's remember what time of the year it is. Still plenty of time to go. Things can happen. But reports are that he's ahead of schedule. So that's a positive. Now, we've also mentioned on this podcast several times that when you come back from an ACL, it's a solid year before you're of playing before you're back. So this season could be kind of that for him. We'll see.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it for a second, Chris Conley's on a pretty cheap deal.
$1.8 million.
Yeah. I mean, you consider what Moncrief was on last year at 10. Keelan Cole could be fighting it out with Conley, to be honest. 1.8 is not that much money. That's a guy you could cut for sure. If you like a guy in the draft, if like N'Keal Harry falls to you in the 3rd round, I mean, that's not going to happen. But I mean, let's say they have N'Keal Harry with a 1st round grade and he falls to the 2nd round. Yeah, I mean, Conley could be a casualty just as much as Keelan Cole.
Yeah, he could. If I had to choose between the two right now, though, I'd take Conley.
Okay. I don't know if I would, but I haven't seen enough of Conley to know. I know what Keelan Cole is, but I've seen him be good with a good quarterback.
I would, just based off the fact that he literally dropped the ball so many times at the end of last season. I mean, I love that guy coming into the year. I mean, he had that unbelievable catch of a lifetime.
That was
everything
this year.
I know. I'm saying going into this year, he had that, and then it was just like, dude, I don't even know how to catch the ball anymore. It was just the biggest drop-off ever.
Or hold on to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was like he'd be there, he'd be open.
Too. Chark fumbled too.
Yeah, and Chark did as well. Ugh.
It's tough, man, when you get what you draft. And if you were only drafting late round guys and undrafted free agents, what do you expect?
So I guess the only 100% answer to that question is that they are not underrated whatsoever. They're right where they need to be rated.
Look where these guys were drafted. Keelan Cole, undrafted free agent.
Yeah.
Marquise Lee, second round pick. Chark, second round pick. Westbrook, what was he, third round pick?
He was later than that.
Fourth
Round pick.
But that was more because of other reasons.
Yeah, kind of character
ability.
stuff.
Right. Same with a lot of these guys. But
Yeah, there's no like
tight end, O'Shaughnessy, undrafted rookie. When are they going to draft a guy in the high? You know,
but nobody wants to take Hawkinson high.
And they haven't invested a draft pick in a wide receiver since Blackman.
That turned out awesome.
It turned out terrible.
He's at Buffalo Wild Wings right now.
But at some point, do you take DK Metcalf eventually, just to say, all right, we got our first round receiver?
I will throw chicken wings at the TV if we take DJ Metcalf.
Well, DJ Metcalf probably won't get drafted because he doesn't exist.
It's close. Yeah.
If he does, he's like a.
I'd be mad if I would be mad if they took DK Metcalf.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing. He's the biggest trap pick of all time.
I'm just saying I don't know if he's the answer, but at some point, you get what you draft. And if you're signing undrafted rookies and you're getting scrubs from other teams that aren't getting picked up, what are you banking on?
That's well said.
I got nothing on that. That was a good one.
Thanks.
You got my vote.
Thanks. I made that up on the spot. All right, this next question.
I was under the assumption we were doing that this entire episode. I'm 63 episodes deep of that.
All right, let's move on from Twitter. This question is from...
That's from somebody.
It's from Pete, and he's at Coach L Tweets. And he says, realistic trade back scenarios in the first round. His take is the Redskins could be looking to move at quarterback and could be a possible partner for the Jags.
Yep.
Slide down, pick up an extra pick, and still get an impact player.
Yeah, I think the Redskins are. I don't know what their cap situation is like, but I would imagine they would be able to afford a quarterback at 7. That's the only position that I think people are going to be trading up for more than likely. I can see the Broncos possibly. I know they got Flacco, but Elway likes quarterbacks, and who knows just exactly how sold on Flacco they are. For some reason, I don't think the Dolphins really care that much this year based on what they've been doing this offseason. I think they're looking at next year and want Tua next year. I think the Redskins are probably the biggest possibility to trade up with the Jags.
Really though, I mean, trade up to our spot to get what quarterback? Locke?
Haskins.
I mean, if he's there.
Well, yeah. I mean that's obviously you have to assume that.
But that's my problem with the whole trade back thing. I mean, first of all, it's incredibly difficult to do. It usually costs you. I don't know, man. You don't know who's going to be there when you trade back either. I think it's more like the Madden mentality. I mean, trading up I think works a lot better if you know you're going to get the guy you want that you think is an absolute stud. I'm not a fan of trading back.
Can I throw some at y'all?
Please.
That has not been said yet?
As long as it's not a chicken wing, go for it.
You wouldn't want me to throw a chicken wing at you?
I'd take one.
Heck yeah. This hasn't been said anywhere, and when we were asked this question, I started looking at teams that would trade up to our pick, but then I started looking at it from a different angle, and I don't know how no one's thought of this before. So I guess you could say I'm a genius. I guess that's what you could say. Okay, so this is the mock draft unanimously amongst CBS and ESPN, Kuiper, and McShay. They're unanimous in this.
Pretty legit, guys.
1, the Cardinals taking Kyler Murray. 2, Nick Bosa of the 49ers. 3, Josh Allen of the Jets. 4, Quinnen Williams of the Raiders. And 5, Devin White at the Bucks.
I mean, I can't name a linebacker for the Bucks, so can't argue against that.
Could the Jags trade up to 5? Because you got to think Devin White's going to be at 7, right?
I don't know. There's a lot of people that are mocking him.
He's one of those guys.
But he's
top
only
5
getting
pick.
mocked to the Bucks, though. It's
that
only
spot.
because the Bucks are there.
Okay.
Like,
why would the Jags trade up?
If
Then?
the Jags traded up,
If they swap places and guaranteed not to take Devin White,
that could give them a Dwayne Haskins. That could give them, if anyone trades up and gets a quarterback 1 through 5, that means Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen, or Nick Bosa has dropped to 5. So there's a chance that one of those big dogs who we all assume would be instant starters on our team would be there at 5 if Kyler Murray and Haskins went somewhere between 1 through 5.
Right.
So what would it take to move up 2 spots for the Bucs? Our 3rd round pick? And would you do that to get Quinnen Williams?
Yes.
absolutely.
I would too.
That's a great call.
Would you do that to get Josh Allen?
I haven't watched him as much, so I can't comment on that.
I don't think I would.
Whew.
I'm going to say this though. I'm going back to this. I think I would not be surprised if 3 quarterbacks are taken before the Jags pick at 7.
They always are.
I know. That's
These
why.
drafts always come out with this crap, and then quarterback goes quarterback. I mean, always happens.
Yeah.
I could see someone trading up. You mentioned the Bucs. I could see them trading out of that spot. I could see the Giants still, and the wild card are the Raiders. I know Derek Carr has a big contract, but John Gruden loves quarterbacks, and he wants his guy, and he is picking, what is it, 3rd overall? 4th overall.
Yeah.
It is an opportunity for him to get his guy. And you know they're kind of nomads this year. They don't have a home field yet, so they can, whatever. And then as they go to Las Vegas the following year, then that guy that they picked 4th overall has been in the league a year and he's ready to go. And don't think for a second they're not thinking about the quarterback and how they're going to market that team in Las Vegas in 2 years. And having this rookie quarterback, this guy that's going to go set the world on fire, is going to be a huge thing. So I think you do see Murray at 1. I don't know if it's going to be Haskins or Gruden goes another direction, a wild card guy. Maybe it's Locke or someone he thinks he can develop in a year while Carr's still there. Maybe they feel like they can trade Carr. And then you still have the Giants sitting at 6 ahead of the Jags. That would be your 3 quarterbacks taken. And then back to your point, Jason, then you have some choices to make with defensive players.
That's interesting because, don't think for a second that the league's not going to have some questionable cap calls for the Raiders to make it work in Vegas. I think they're
without a
some
doubt.
leeway. That's going to happen.
Wait, are you saying conspiracy theory?
Absolutely old guy conspiracy
I love
theory. So, mark my words, that's going to happen. So that could definitely, I could see that. That's a very interesting point, James.
Do you take Ed Oliver if he's there at 7 over Jawaan Taylor?
I don't know, man.
What about Montez Sweat?
I would take Jawaan Taylor over Oliver and Sweat.
Really?
I would take...
Ever Sweat? Ooh.
Yeah. I would take Quinnen Williams, Josh Allen over Taylor, though. Nick Bosa's going number 2.
Yeah, Bosa's
No
gone.
doubt about it. But Josh Allen and Quinnen Williams, man, if Quinnen Williams is there when the Bucs are picking, I think they scratch linebacker and they go Quinnen Williams. He's that good. And so I think the Jags could... Is it worth it to trade up 2 picks and give your 3rd round for a guy that's when
you got 2 of them,
changing? Quinnen Williams is one of the most dominant D linemen I have ever seen, and I'm not saying that just because it's this year's draft. Every Alabama game I watched is wow, that dude is in the backfield every single snap.
I think he goes 3rd overall. I don't think he's there at 5.
You think Josh Allen goes after him?
Yeah,
Josh Allen's good too, though.
I know.
He's probably the best edge rusher besides Nick Bosa. And edge rushers are so highly valued nowadays. There's a lot. Who knows what will happen?
Yeah.
It's going to be an exciting live podcast.
Yeah,
so.
and I'll be fully awake for it because they're drafting in the top 10 this year. None of that 29 business.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
That 2nd round pick, though.
I'll have a cup of coffee on my way over.
I'll get you a Starbucks double shot espresso.
Yeah.
I'll have
2nd
one
round
for
pick's
you.
the next night, so it'll be another early pick. So I'll be all right.
I'd like to do the research and see how many actual...
You're not going to do any research.
Oh, I will absolutely do this.
Who are you
research.
trying to fool?
Just because you called me out on it. Research is being done. How many actual trade ups, trade downs that were impactful and worked out there's been in the past 10 years? Because I just don't see it It's not that easy. It's way easier to. You can draw it out on paper, yeah, absolutely. But there's just so many moving parts.
The
so little
Houston
time.
Texans traded up to get.
I mean,
Deshaun
the Jags
Watson.
have traded back and up for every pick they've had.
Yeah.
And how many of them
Derek
worked
Harvey.
out though? Let's put that caveat on there of how many of them have worked out.
But with this front office doesn't care about what's worked out in the past. I mean, they're doing their own thing. No one cares.
Yeah, and they're all trying to save their jobs for next season. So you'd think they might want to make it work.
I mean, of course they're going to try to make it work, but. All right, this next question is from Patrick Jackson. He's at @radius_Johansson. Shout out to P Jack. He's been there since the beginning. Just want to give him a little
He
shout
has.
out there. And he says, how would you rate our free agency overall so far? Are you more or less confident for next season as a result?
Go ahead, Joey.
I mean, the question there is, how do you rate the full signing? Is it not?
Basically, because they haven't done that was our offseason,
right?
You mean I like the Jake Ryan signing. I like Conley. I mean, they didn't spend a lot of money.
Scale.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
I'd say it's a 7 out of 10.
But they're values.
personally. Yeah.
They're value signings to an extent. It does boil down to the Foles thing, and honestly, it's TBD. I mean, we don't know. It's crazy that they spent all that money, and it still seems to be such a big question mark. But I will say this about the Foles signing: I like it more and more every day. And I don't know if it's just because I'm choosing to be optimistic, but the guy did win a Super Bowl. He was a Super Bowl MVP. He's seems clutch in the fourth quarter, something we did not have at the quarterback position prior to him being here. So I do like it. So to grade the whole free agent class, that is really it. And you're not going to have to me the sign of a good team is being quiet in free agency. So, if that all they did was need to get quarterback and they did that, then I'm happy with that. So I'll give it a B+.
I would agree completely with the B+. I mean, they didn't overspend. They didn't sell the house. And, dude, how many teams have a Super Bowl MVP on their team? I mean, not many. You can't be mad at them for going out and getting the best available quarterback when we needed quarterback more than anything. So you got to do that. And they did.
I don't like this moniker of me taking on the pessimistic role for the Jags front office, but I'm going to grade this as C.
Oh.
Yeah. I think we overpaid for Nick Foles. I don't think he is as good as we're paying him for, and I think we could have drafted somebody who is as good as him. You have to remember, he is a Super Bowl MVP, but he is a Super Bowl MVP with the number 1 rated offensive line the year he won the Super Bowl. Jordan Matthews, Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, Golden Tate, Darren Sproles, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount. Do we have anyone that compares to those people? Not a one.
Leonard
Fournette, we hope is, and I hope he is too, but he hasn't shown us he is. And I mean,
if they get Jawaan Taylor, and the offensive line is healthy, and it's a bit of an if. That's a good offensive line.
I agree.
If the offensive line is healthy, it's a very good offensive line.
I agree with that, and I hope it is, but that's a big gamble, man. No receivers, no tight end, one running back who in his history has been a downhill power running back. I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist too, and I find myself being every day believing in Foles more, but that's just because I'm an optimist, and I'll admit it. But I feel like that's a C. It's been a C class. Conley, couldn't even break 5 touchdowns last year. Guys like O'Shaughnessy bringing back, Wells you're bringing back. Thomas Rawls was even in the league for the back half of last year. I mean, I don't know.
For Conley at a $1.8 million contract, what does he have to do to justify that contract?
Make the team?
Yeah. So that's why I like it. I mean, it's basically
It's a value pick, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm okay with that one because if it had been a $10 million contract like we had with Moncrief last year, that would be ridiculous.
And we sat here and said that was a terrible. Well,
Right.
I did. Sat here and said it was a terrible pick.
Multiple times.
But
I believe.
would you rather? I mean, we talked about this briefly, but would you rather have Conley at 1.8, or would you rather have what's his name, Jordy Nelson for 2?
Conley. Nelson was done, man.
Nelson had like 800 yards last year, though.
Yeah, and like 9 concussions.
Not last year. It's that type of thing. Like I feel like you'd feel better going into the season with Jordy Nelson than Chris Conley.
Yeah, but I think that's more rank or name recognition than anything, not necessarily where he's at now in his career. But I do think we're undervaluing our offensive line healthy. I mean, you got what? Cam, Norwell, Linder, and we draft right tackle. I mean, dude, that's got to be one of the best offensive lines in the league.
You have no right tackle and you have a left tackle coming off an ACL.
Yeah, but a young left tackle. ACL is early in the season, and we're going to draft right tackle. If we draft them high, I mean, how can that and Nick Foles not make everybody else better?
It makes them better, but when you won 4 games, then
Yeah, we're
better
easily
could be.
vaulting up to like 8 games.
I hope so.
Vaulting up to 8.
Yeah.
Vaulting up to mediocrity.
Yeah.
Vaulting up to slightly average. Anyway, I think I'm optimistic about that. I mean, I think that is a stud offensive line. Fournette benefits from that. Foles is, I mean, you use that as a talking point of why he was so good at Philly, so there you go. And that makes everyone around him better.
All right. Well, anything else about the Jaguars? Because this next question has nothing to do with the Jaguars.
No, that's it. Go Jags.
Okay. Go Jags. This next question is also from Patrick Jackson. P-Jack giving us 2. He says, the Masters weekend, who's your favorite? Do you see the green jacket coming back across the pond to us?
Absolutely not, Patrick.
Okay. Who you got, Joey?
I'm going with the Bros Bro Koepka.
Oh, man, that is bro.
It is bro, and he's blamed his lack of production this year on dropping all that weight to have that good beach body like he likes. But this is a course that's perfect for that. I mean, there's plenty of shorter holes where he can pick up strokes. So I'm going with Koepka.
Pete, to answer your question, yes, it's going back across the pond because I think Rory, it's his time.
Oh, come on. That's
It's
the
his
only pick. Come on.
That's the only
time
guy
to-
Jason knew that was playing. Come on. Tiger doesn't have a chance.
The,
It's gotta be Rory.
career getting Grand Slam. I think he got a lot of confidence winning the Players. He's been playing really well, just hasn't been able to close it out on Sundays. He did that at the Players, and I think he's been playing really well. Obviously, the course suits him as well. He's a bomber.
He is back.
Number 1 in the tour off the tee. Number 1.
He is back to form,
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
he's a little scary right now.
yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait for the Masters.
It's such a great tournament.
It
I mean,
is.
it's
a tradition unlike any other.
Oh, man, it's so
Unbelievable.
great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it all.
You got to try it, Jason. You got to try.
Well, unfortunately,
especially the
I will
Masters.
not even be in the United States for that. I
Oh,
will be
okay. That's
out of
right.
the country.
Out of the country.
So, fortunately,
DVR it.
I will not be able to watch it.
I'm sure there's
Are you visiting Patrick?
I am not. I will be in
okay.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica's big on the Masters.
They are.
They
Huge.
may be, but they're not big on cable because I can't seem to find it anywhere. But I will say the last time we had a golf question, I was the only one that got it correct.
That's true.
Right. So I'd say our overall rankings, I'm 1-0 and y'all are 0-1.
Yeah.
Am
So
I right?
Who are you taking?
I'm taking the golfer that's going to win it. Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
Of
Okay,
course.
yeah.
Of course, it's going to be Tiger Woods. And then we're going to talk about how I'm 2-0. So, I mean,
Tiger wins this thing, man.
Tiger Woods
It'd be amazing.
is just,
He's due.
Tiger.
He's due.
He's due. This is it.
I told my wife we're going out of town this weekend with my in-laws. I said we have to be home by 2:00 on Sunday, and if they're not ready to go, I will leave. I'll just leave them.
I'm gonna be in Miami for a soccer tournament, and you can guarantee both games are at 10:30. I will be back in the room
that's
by
perfect.
1:00. Oh, dude,
All right,
it's
plenty of time.
absolutely lining up to be an amazing weekend. So
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Wait, when are you coming back from Miami?
I'll be there Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, but what time on Sunday are you?
Well,
driving
yeah,
back?
that's going to be a little sketchy on Sunday. So that's going to be a streaming while playing through the car speakers.
Yeah.
But,
I just put it on my phone and actually put it up on my car and
Yeah,
actually
no, that
watch
absolutely works.
TV while I'm driving.
yeah, it's completely safe.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
the kids can tell you if you're going a little astray. So that's good.
Exactly.
Your daughter's got. She's 16 now. It's just time to learn how to drive on the interstate.
I think it's about that time.
No
she
time like the
drives.
present. Yeah.
That's a good point. She'll have her actual license by then.
That's
So
right. All right, time to earn or keep. All right, I think that's it, right? All right, we have next week we're going to be talking again more about the draft. I hope you're not getting sick of it, but we love it and we're going to talk about it. And then again, the following week will be the draft. So we're just over 2 weeks from it, and then we're going to really start to see the pieces of the puzzle come together, know who our team is, and And then we're going to start looking at the position groups and all those things. And also the schedule is going to be coming out here in a couple weeks as well. We'll be dissecting that. So a lot of good things on the horizon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the questions. We do appreciate it. Spread the word. I think that's going to be a wrap. As always, go Jags.